You have a good day, and you are welcome to our last presentation in this series of webinars that's being arranged and organized by both IAS and ARAUSEA. And today we are pleased to welcome Dr. Dilfuza Egamberdieva, who will talk about organic agriculture, the challenges of sustaining food production in the era of COVID-19. Dr. Dilfuza is head of research group Joint Laboratory Ecosystem and Biomes at National University of
Okay. You don't have any problem with me talking to Khaldun. I haven't done that yet.
Their PhD
Khaldun can look
I think. From Humboldt University of Berlin, Germany.
I think I have. I was.
You had Khaldun, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I was.
Najwa, would you
Yes.
turn off the attendees a little bit?
Yes هلا طفيتهم.
She received her PhD in agriculture sciences from Humboldt University of Berlin. She has long-term experience in plant and soil biotechnology research. She is editorial member of Elsevier and Springer journals, authored 5 books, and co-authored over than 150 publications related to plant nutrition, agricultural biotechnology, and soil fertility. Her contribution to agricultural biotechnology research has been recognized through the World Academy of Science, TWAS, where she received an award in agricultural sciences in 2013, and had been recognized also by UNESCO awards in 2017. She is a member of German Council of Science and Humanities, member of the committee at the high-level panel of experts on food security and nutrition, Committee on World Food Security, UN, and has received Alexander von Humboldt Fellowship. Dr. Dilfuza, please.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, dear colleagues, friends, students. I am really happy to join this webinar series organized by Islamic World Academy of Sciences. Thank you very much for inviting me for giving a talk. Also, thank you for a nice introduction. Today, I would like to talk about organic agriculture. So should I share my slides now?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mm-hmm. Now is full screen. Do you see full screen now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yes. I am, yes, as introduced, I am Dilfuza Egamberdieva from Uzbekistan. I am now head of Uzbek China Key Lab of Ecobiomes, like ecosystem and biomes of arid lands, because Uzbekistan has arid and very dry with hot temperature, the climate. Therefore, we are focused on studies on arid lands. Today, I would like to talk about organic agriculture, the challenge of for sustaining food production, and during the era of COVID-19 pandemic and after COVID-19 pandemic, what kind of technologies we have to focus on, how to care environment. And I want to begin with, always when I talk with to my students, I begin this philosophical quote: human health tied to the environment, health of environment, and feed the soil to feed the plant. So that is our main quote, where we are doing research in soil and plant, also their interaction with the environment. I will talk about the COVID-19 pandemic impact on food security And also I will continue to climate change, how which kind of also factors affect on agriculture. And also I will talk about summarize human-induced degradation, like I will give some examples. And synthetic fertilizers, organic fertilizers, and I will end my talk about with conclusion recommendations for organic agriculture. As March, the World Health Organization announced this COVID-19 as a pandemic. So as if you see this map, as of 5th of January 2021, the COVID-19 has spread almost 189 countries. And until 5th of January, as 5th of January, there have been about 84 million confirmed cases, and including about around 2 million deaths, 1 million, yes, 800,000. And it's we are this COVID-19 not only affected to social life, not only human health, but also to environment and our food security. If we see this pandemic comes at the time when around 820 million people in the world suffer from chronic hunger already, and more than 2 billion are malnourished. So this COVID-19 lead to implementation of strict lockdown. If you see the figures that provided by high-level panel experts and Food Agriculture Organization, this figure and shows clearly that after strict lockdown and physical distancing policies in a number of countries, and that affect to food security. And this here is some measures caused a serious slowdown in economic activity and disrupt supply chain, like down policies. So there is connection to disrupted supply chains because of transportation, and then disrupted social protection. Many countries was not ready to cover or to protect that things with social benefits, and altered food environments, like changes in production. Farmers couldn't access to their lands and to produce some vegetables or fruits, some other crops, and some other global economic recession, and also deepening inequalities. If we list some important the impacts, there have been major disruptions to food supply chain because of lockdown measures, and the COVID-19 pandemic caused a dramatic loss and income. So around, according to the latest report, around 400 million jobs lost. So it means this income shortage, and the people couldn't get enough food. Social inequalities are affecting access to basic needs like food, water, and healthcare, and access to other means for living. And during pandemic, many countries moved to shut down, and food markets, supermarkets, restaurants, and other food retailers. So it's also affect to food security among especially who lives in villages because of food supply there or water supply. And as pandemic deepened, food price rised in many countries, even in Central Asia. Some countries, some products rise to 50% even. So many people couldn't afford to buy foods. If you see the latest report, 2020, the global report on food crisis, so around 155 million people was in starvation and hunger in the world, but before pandemic. But in the end, this 2020, it almost double numbers, around 265 million. But I don't know today's number. So the most regions affected by this pandemic is African countries and some Afghanistan and Central Asian countries and some countries in Latin America. It's reasons why the food the food shortage or this malnutrition or the starvation or hunger occurred is main issues were the loss of jobs and incomes and increased food prices. I told the previous slide, and the disruption in the food supply chain, the instability of food availability. And now what we expect or what we should do to feed around 9 billion people. If you see the graphs from Syngenta report and Food and Agriculture Organization, we see that the population is will be around, estimated around 9 billion. So it means we need until 2050, we have to increase the major crop and food production around 50% to feed 9 billion population. And another issue is the most of this population estimates in developing countries. So another the issue is global meat production. If we see 2005 and 2050, the production of meat like poultry or eggs, especially poultry, will get doubled. So it means we need to produce more meat to feed this 9 billion population. And also the eggs and other beef production is getting, this graph is given in million tons. So it means production is very high. It means we need more land, we need livestock production, we need crop production. And the main issue is why we cannot, which factors affecting this production is climate change mainly. So many countries, for example, in Central Asia, we feel already the climate change effect on agricultural lands, like drought, salinization. And if we see the scientists observed that if the temperature, global temperature will rise, if we don't care, if we don't take a very tough measures to combat climate change or to mitigate climate change, the temperature can rise up to 4 degrees. Or if we will, the whole world, if we will work is for the mitigate climate change or to take some measurements, approach technologies, then the temperature can be, this scenario and lowest 1.5 or 2 degree temperature can be raised. It's also a very dangerous if the temperature is rise. So we know that what happens now in Antarctica or some icebergs. As microbiologist, my background is microbiologist. It's dangerous because the microbes, bacteria or viruses which are preserved in the ice can emerge again, and we don't know. As you know, we as microbiologists, I say we scientists know only 0.1% microbes species, but almost 99% microbes were undiscovered. So that is another point that the reason from where coming pathogens. So one example, like a man-made, or this, I want to talk about ARAUSEA catastrophe. That is one example that the human induced degradation. Like we have to understand our mistakes, how we managed agriculture. Only we cared about economy, and we cared about how to feed people, but we didn't care environment. That is why the ARAUSEA dried up, and I want to list some the reasons why it happened and the consequences. If you see 1957, the ARAUSEA was almost full, and that is reports until 2015. We have only, it's the ARAUSEA is located in the Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, and we have only 3 lakes, small lakes. Every year it's drying. Maybe in 5 years there will be no even the small lakes. So we scientists estimated the salt concentration in this area. Here now is we have around 30 gram per liter. So till 2025, it could be 190 gram per liter. So it's very high salt concentration. And you can imagine after drying up this ARAUSEA, the ARAUSEA basin, all accumulated salts, we say like salt desert, can move to other countries or some 1,000 kilometers by wind. If you see that Central Asia includes 5 former Soviet Union republics like Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and this with the lands approximately 280 million hectares. So now the Uzbekistan was the one of the main cotton producing country. Why I am showing this figure, I want to show that what will happen if we only look on the economy and only produce same crops every year in many years. So if you see the 1960 to 2005 and 2008 years, the cotton production in former Soviet Union, among former Soviet Union countries, highest was Uzbekistan was produced. So in 1980, the cotton production was 6 million ton per year. But now, of course, it's decreasing. And now today we are producing around 1.5 million tons cotton per year. It's not because of policy, it's also because of land. Land is salinated. You see the previous of my figures and the data. And every year we have land shortage because of salinization. It is not possible to grow any crops in 1,000 hectares lands. Therefore, we have land shortages. Why it happens? If you see this map, we have Amudarya in Sirdarya. So cotton, as you know, the cotton requires a lot of water. We have to irrigate. So these rivers was used for irrigation. And if you see the previous figure for many years, so it means the water didn't reach the ARAUSEA. So that is the reason why the ARAUSEA dried up. And another point is for crop production. When we are producing agricultural production, we use a lot of fertilizers. And if you see this map, the Uzbekistan was using highest fertilizers, chemicals, agrochemicals. And the green is not treated lands, and this treated lands. If you see the Uzbekistan's highest, it means around 60%. Now is 70% lands is treated with agrochemicals. That is another the reason that all chemicals used for agriculture production or cotton production is already through irrigation came to ARAUSEA and accumulated in South Desert. What kind of fertilizers used in these countries? If you see this data around in Uzbekistan is highest, around 80% fertilizers are nitrogen fertilizers, and others is phosphorus. So it means nitrogen fertilizer is very high. So that also the figure show that the organic agriculture or to the knowledge on the use of legumes for getting more nitrogen is less used in these countries. Therefore, we have to apply more nitrogen. It is the reason that salinization why salinization is happened or occurred in these Central Asian countries like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. One of the reasons is drying up of ARAUSEA, and around today around 50% land irrigated lands are salinized in Central Asia. And also this salt desert and affecting the neighbor countries, also the land, other provinces, and also affecting to the land shortage. We have every year we have around 500,000 or some other thousand millions US dollars reduction in production. So farmers are suffering from these problems in these areas. And about when we are talking about agrochemicals, also we have to consider about health and ecological consequences of this crisis. For example, this is our latest research. If you see with years, the biodiversity loss. So such kind of agriculture mismanagement will result in biodiversity loss. If you see 1970, we have plant biodiversity, some animals, and it reduced with years. And today, it is the photos from 2018, last our expedition. So we only very few halophyte plants left, and we couldn't find diverse animals or insects diversity, and also biodiversity of microbes there. Because then if you see that during these 60-70 years, around 4,000, 6,000 fishermen have lost their lives, and immigration occurred. So many villages, people migrated to other cities for survival. And during only, if you see during 1980, 1992, it's only 10 years, pesticides used for cotton production is the number, if you see numbers, 30,000 tons of pesticides used for cotton production. It's very high. So this pesticides is accumulated and still in the ARAUSEA basin in desert. So toxic chemicals, 150,000 tons of toxic chemicals contaminated this water, ARAUSEA. And do you know the reason? Because we should, to produce 6 million tons cotton is impossible without a high amount of agrochemicals. So therefore, about in Karakal, Pakistan, where is near the Karakal, Pakistan area, is around 70% of irrigated land salinated, but in whole Uzbekistan, we estimate around 50% salinated lands. Agrochemicals not only affected the life, this human health or social life or food security in Central Asia, but agrochemicals, if you see in the whole world, we today, up to today, this report from this Food and Agriculture Organization, 2017, I think. And if you see the agrochemical use, pesticides only used very high in China and some United States, Latin America, and some other European countries still using high amount of pesticides that results, of course, environmental contamination, water, and also that is the one of the, I should mention, that is the one reason my students ask from where coming pathogen viruses. You know, when we are using a lot of pesticides, when we are using agrochemicals, we are killing insects, we are killing some animals, we are killing some organisms living there, we are killing plants. And it means we are killing the hosts of many microbes, viruses, fungi. If we are killing these organisms, so like nature disturbance, the biodiversity disturbed, so the virus and microbes is looking for another host. So they have to also survive. Therefore, biodiversity, especially agrobiodiversity, is very important to maintain the balance among the organisms and which microbes live within the host. That is the fertilized use. And if you see again, till today, it is 2,000 kilogram per hectare, I think. Yes, per hectare. If you see the China and the other countries like Latin America, United States, and European countries, also still using, depends on fertilizer use for agricultural production. So if we want now, after COVID-19 pandemic, we should understand we should protect environment, and we should in balance with environment. So we have to care the environment, nature, and we have to use the more eco-friendly approaches, technologies. The new opportunities for us will be to reduce agrochemicals and some pesticides, chemical fertilizers for food production, and use eco-friendly agriculture like organic agriculture and some other technologies which are based on natural resources. And also it will result better health of the soil, plant, environment, and also of course it links to human health. I will list some organic agriculture, the benefits, and why the importance of organic agriculture to be used in many countries, whole world, like its appropriate design and management of biological resources using natural resources, is a restriction of the use of chemical inputs. If we use more organic agriculture, of course, we can reduce chemicals, toxics to environment, to animal, to other organisms. We can balance the biodiversity and protect biodiversity, enhance soil health if we improve soil health. So we know that many countries, after using, I showed you the ARAUSEA, the crisis, if we use many years, decades, these chemicals, the soil get very disturbed, so not fertile anymore. So it should be improved by only the solution is organic agriculture, and managing land in a responsible manner to protect this environment, and using also the water, like drip irrigation, other technologies. We have to save also water because of climate change. We will face water shortage. As scientists, they estimate, and also water shortage will be next very big issue in the world. So if you see, we now we looked the table in 2018 reports, the organic agriculture. So how many hectares or 1,000 hectares, which country is using already organic the production. So if you see from 1999 to 2018, so organic agricultural lands increased up to 71 million hectares. So most of countries use organic depends or use organic agriculture. Australia, Argentina, and China, 3.1 million hectares using for organic agriculture. And the producers also increased. If in 1999 we had in the world, we had 200,000 producers, farmers who produce organic agriculture. Today their number is 2.8 million. Most of these produce are if you see the numbers in India and Uganda, Ethiopia, also these African countries, farmers are trying to use organic agriculture, organic fertilizers. The another reasons the African countries are using, because of in villages to buy or imported agrochemicals are very expensive. So many farmers are therefore using, trying to use to improve soil health or their production using organic means. And organic market, we know that in Europe also increasing organic production. So if you see the numbers, if 2000, it was when organic market was 15.1 billion euros, but today, 2018, the reports show 96.7 billion euros. Most of countries which is this organic market, we can see the United States, Germany, and France. So now, up to 2018, 103 countries are using organic agriculture, but again, Central Asia, in Central Asia, we use, farmers use less organic technologies because of knowledge, mainly, in my opinion. Microbial fertilizers. So when we are, of course, organic agriculture, there is a crop rotation, some manure we are using, and also microbial fertilizers. We are using biofertilizers. You are using different. But I want to list some of fertilizers used for organic agriculture by farmers today. So microbial fertilizers. I am actually myself for 20 years working on microbial fertilizer production. So plants, the basic, the aim of the using organic agriculture fertilizers to improve crop production or crop yield. So plants are closely associated with microbes. So microbial fertilizers, microbial inoculants can be used by fertilization, like rhizoremediation to remediate some heavy metals or some other organic pollutants. Also, these microbial inoculants could be used for phytostimulation to improve root system, improve the nutrition, plant nutrition, to take more nutrients from soil, and also mitigate the stress, like the microbial inoculants also helping to mitigate drought stress, salt stress, or heavy metal stress to improve the plant growth, and biological control, like microbial inoculants also used like biopesticide, we say, that they used for protection the plants from different pathogens, especially root disease. If you see the graph, it clearly showed that mycorrhiza, we have mycorrhiza inoculants, rhizobia, many countries using for legumes, like rhizobia used for improving the nitrogen nutrition of plants, and plant growth promoting rhizobacteria in many countries, and many companies producing this PGPR. And they are, it is a very good, these microbial inoculants used the benefits or the differences to compare to control plants. It can be seen in a stress environment, because stress has a lot of negative factors to plant physiology, like they disturb nutrition balance, and they decrease root system, they decrease the yield, and these microbial inoculants will help to increase the root system, get more nutrients, and nutrient availability also that depends on this microbial inoculants. If you see only the mycorrhiza inoculants, the percentage for nutrient benefits, if farmers use the mycorrhiza like inoculants or PGPR or rhizobia, first of all, these microbial biofertilizers has nutrient benefits, and they improve grow root system, and also the stress, mitigate stress, and plants is grown in very drought, under drought, or salt affected lands is getting the growth getting better, and different crop quality, they improve the quality of the vegetables or quality of fruits, and root development, and also the microbial inoculants used for improvement soil health and soil productivity. Up to today, this is today's 2020, I got this report from Plants Journal. If you see the microbial the production or microbial inoculant market in Europe, the companies producing this microbial inoculant in United States, Europe, Asia Pacific, some other countries, African countries, South America. If you see 0.45 billion US dollars is this market, and also it's almost United States, Europe, and some Asian countries. India is producing high amount microbial inoculants. And another the application of biochar as biofertilizers. It's not it's a new technology. I would say that if you see the literature, most of literature begins from 2014, 2015. It means last 5 years, this biochar application or biochar use in organic agriculture is increasing. So what's the biochar? But many countries still, for example, in Central Asia, we don't have this technology yet. And the United States or Australia or some other few European countries in Malaysia is there is many companies is producing this biochar as biofertilizer. It's very good that they are using organic waste. So what's this actually biochar? It's we call it terra preta, like fertile anthropogenic dark earths, like Amazon basin is approximately 8,000 years. If you compare this soil, I mean, with bones and charcoal and manure and some roots is burned, they collected, and after so many years, it became, we call it biochar. So what's how it will produce? The many companies producing biochar now, it is from different organic waste. It can be industrial waste, organic, or the wood, or some manure, could be any organic material will be produced through pyrolysis, and around 50% carbon is going to for energy, and around 50% carbon is returned to the soil. So then this biochar has a lot of benefits. That it is improved soil exchange, soil cation exchange capacity, water holding capacity, and also increase stable carbon in soil. It means organic is organic content, like also microbial biomass improved. Soil biological activity is improved, and biochar also can increase the plant root system, plant growth, yield, and plant tolerance. There is so many reports that biochar also improve plant tolerance to abiotic stresses like drought and heavy metals and salt stress. And also there is last 3 years, I read a lot of reports on how biochar protect plants from different disease through induced systemic resistance, other mechanisms. In myself, I am working for 5 years with biochar production and application in for different crops. Like here, you see the soybean. We did this experiment in the loamy sand in Europe, in Germany, and we applied biochar 10,000 hectare, and this biochar is after applications they mixed and we used for legumes, soybean and chickpea and some beans, and we see the very good effect that we also compared how the biochar effect on irrigated lands and under drought. If you see the drought in irrigated lands, biochar increased the plant dry weight, biomass, yield increased, and especially it's significantly, especially in drought stress. And if you see the northern number, the legumes is important crop for their nodules, like symbiotic performance, because they are enriching the nitrogen in the soil. So if you see the differences, control soil and biochar applied to soybean, its root system and nodule number is increased. The reason is, the question is why? What's the mechanisms? The biochar has pores, and it can sustain the water, And also the microbes can colonize inside the pores and can survive longer in the soil. It's the reason why biochar improved the nodal number and also soil biological activity. And here is one example why we are doing this. Also, it's this technology can be used in dry areas when, for example, in ARAUSEA basin, we are using licorice, Glycaris uralensis, or Glycaris glabra. It's a salt-tolerant plants, halophytes. So, but however, in salt-affected lands, the growth is inhibited by high salt concentration or drought. So if we use the biochar, if you see the biochar improve root system, and also the root getting more deep and getting water, also the getting more nutrients. So biochar can be used in dry areas, in salt affected areas, and also for improve the halophytes. And if you see the global markets, this biochar production, I told the previous slides, it begins 2015. Many companies is producing this biochar. And if you see 2000, the estimation is that if you see this market by USD millions, 2015, 2026, it is increased in many countries, especially Asian countries, and also the North America. And another organic farming, farmers use crop rotation. If you see that in previous slides, I showed that the crop production, like cotton production, if we use wheat or cotton to care our economy, or we think the wheat is more important, so we have to feed our the population, our citizens. But if we don't care about crop rotation, the soil fertility declines. So the crop rotation is very important. So therefore, we are losing in Central Asia because of this long, many 10, maybe 60 years long period in only the lands used for crops. So biodiversity loss and also this land degradation is very high. Therefore, we have a lot of problems today. So crop rotation is another mean that improve the soil productivity. And if we use crop rotation, like we use legumes, for example, with its symbiotic the relations with rhizobia, we can enrich soil nitrogen. And this means that we can increase soil fertility, and also we can control erosion, improve biodiversity, and with years, if we use crop rotation, these farmers can get more yield, but ecologically friendly way, but not using toxic chemicals. Another, the organic agriculture, many countries, especially Africa and Asian countries, using manure. Of course, I found a very interesting the map. In 2019, scientists made some map, which countries using manure as like biofertilizers, I would say. So if you see the Indian countries, some Asian countries, African countries, Latin America, and some other European countries using manure. After COVID-19 pandemic, we have to be very careful. We have to consider climate change. We have to consider pathogens. We have to consider that we are around us the millions of type of microbes and viruses, and we have to be very careful with interaction with animals. So manure contains, if it is not processed well, like heating or the composting, it's some pathogens from the animals can be transferred to, for example, through manure to a vegetable or a root or some foods or some other crops, and can rise again infection among farmers. One example I will show you our environmental microbiology article. It's published in 2008, but it's very important, the message. For example, we under the in wheat production, in Sirdarya province, under farmers and villages, we had very high infection. Then as microbiologist, I was very interested to see why the children or these people who are living, working in the lands has this infection. It's very high compared to the people who are living in city. Then we found, we collected the wheat samples and we studied the diversity. We found that there is so many potential human pathogens colonized in the root system. And the reason we concluded in this article that the potential pathogens originated from from animals, and from animal, how it's transferred through manure applied to the vegetables or crops by farmers, and then these pathogens likely is for survival. They are colonizing root system or plant because it's very dry area, salt area. So they found the niche, and then in this way that there is so many now reports that from the infections transmitted from the vegetables through the animals to humans. Therefore, we have to very careful to use manure direct to as organic means direct to our for crop production. Another the reason, the conclusion also, we cited this the figures is it's published 2016. It's how these pathogens because the transfer to the human initiate some human infections. Then we know that as I showed you before the figure, that meat production increased. So to that if we want to increase cotton production, we use 1,000 tons of pesticides, fertilizers, because to increase crop production without agrochemicals was impossible. So same way, when we are we want to increase the meat production, we are using all means like antibiotics, some hormones for animals, this meat production, and these antibiotics will we know they will rise or induce or increase the antibiotic resistant pathogens. So the pathogens through manure it transferred to farmlands. So different for agriculture production, if farmers are using directly this manure. So through these vegetables, it will resist drug-resistant bacteria from animals, goes to the remains in the human gut when consuming humans. And in this way, we have now around estimated some millions of people infected, getting infection through this cycle. Therefore, when we are using, when we are considering eco-friendly approaches, we have to also consider these pathogens, movement and infections. And what we are doing in Uzbekistan is we are, I want to also show that why in Uzbekistan is a laboratory is established, and what we are doing in Central Asian countries and in cooperation with other countries, that we study as you know, some developing countries research is not so good developed, especially scientists move to developed countries. That is the one reason after COVID-19 pandemic, we have to try to bring scientists in the developing countries, and we have to study the nature, and we have to study the all lands. We have to study biodiversity. We have to study viruses. We have to study microbes, and we have to develop technology. The COVID-19 teach us that the nature or the world has no border. So if developed countries, all scientists remain there, it's technology and everything's good. But if developing countries face different the problems, environmental problems, some I showed you the drying ARAUSEA, and there is no scientists who study biodiversity. the microbes or the problems which are initiated in developing countries can move to other countries. The COVID-19 showed us. So we established this lab to study the ecology of the plant and soil and water biomes. The lab also calls ecosystem and biomes, and we developed the we are trying to develop some biofertilizers for crop production or to use in the fishery for some farmers producing in some lakes. And we are also testing water and soil ecotoxicology to develop and deliver innovative practical solution, how to use drip irrigation, how to improve plant in a stressed environment. And also we are studying the diversity of which the microbes colonized or associated with vegetables, soils, and water. And in this lab, we are produced now is already in the producing beast and subtin, some microbial inoculants, biofertilizers used in different Central Asian countries, also in Uzbekistan. And in the end, I want to list some recommendations how after COVID-19 pandemic, what we learned and what we should do, or what kind of technology or what kind of means for organic agriculture we can use. So first of all, a farming system in whole the world, we have to reconsider what kind of farming system we need to reduce we have to reduce chemical fertilizers, agrochemicals, pesticides. Like we should use minimum soil disturbance, and also we should care the crop rotation, like crop diversification. For example, in Central Asian countries, we very less diversity, and we have to also consider soil health, and we have to consider water management. We have to develop some water saving technologies like drip irrigation, others, and especially knowledge. Knowledge is very important. For example, why in Uzbekistan we don't have the organic agriculture was not developed, but because we have to bring the knowledge to farmers. What's organic agriculture? How to produce organic foods, and the environmental protection. This education and alternative approaches teach them, and water saving technologies, and teaching and education is very important. It is the first step for organic agriculture, or it is first step for environmental protection. However, the main here to bring this all the issues, or to bring these approaches, is the government policy. After COVID-19 pandemic, all government should reconsider their policy for farmers. For example, the rising adoption of organic farming among farmers, and to give more support for farmers, or to increase knowledge, or to some policy for farmers to choose their own crops, for example, to use our crop rotation. For example, government is like one of the opportunities comes from government policy. So if government policy will allow the farmers to for crop rotation, or not continuous grow the cotton or wheat and other for many 10 or 20 years, then that is the main aspect that government can do for organic agriculture and organic production. In that way we can save environment, in that way we can produce healthy food, and through this food security also may increase. If we reduce meat the consuming in whole world, and increase the protein the crops like legumes in many countries. But some countries, for example, in Uzbekistan, we don't consume, for example, soybean is not popular. Some other chickpea or other is not the main protein crops. Therefore, these countries should legumes, it's the main crops that to ensure also the food security in many countries and health. Thank you for your attention. That was like a discussion, not a lecture. If any questions, welcome. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dilfuza, for this very informative lecture of yours. Before I open the floor for questions, I would like to announce that IAS is planning another series of webinars related to the application of nanotechnology in different scientific disciplines like agriculture, medicine, pharmaceuticals, and other things. We think that we will start this series sometime in April or early May. That will extend to August or October. Another thing that I would like to say that IAS is planning to hold a conference on biodiversity sometime in April, this coming April, hopefully. We hope that we'll see you at these events. Now I will open the floor for questions, and I think Dr. Azhar, Dr. Adnan Badran.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Dr. Azhar.
Professor Asghar here.
Yes.
I would like to ask some questions about the talk. First, I must thank Professor Dilfuza for excellent talk and very exhaustive talk too. I will start with the problem you have discussed quite a lot. This about the Aral Sea.
Yeah.
The ecological disaster. Now, it seems that you were saying that it's probably related to the climate change, but it's nothing to do with the climate change. It was a political decision to divert water from the two rivers, which are and Sildaria, which feed the Aral Sea. They diverted most of its water to produce water-intensive crops, such like cotton and some others, and there was no water left for the Aral Sea. So it was not a climate problem, it was a political decision. What would you think?
Yes, but yes, this problem occurred, but now we are facing climate change also. Now it's combined. So first, because in 1960, so this cotton production increased around 60 million tons. Even we have now reduced cotton production, but because of climate change. For example, why I say climate change now? Last 5 years in this area or this desert area or Karakal, Pakistan, we have temperature around 60. When I was also there, every year we are going there, I never saw the 60 degree or sometimes 70. So it means we feel that climate change. So we have less rain and also very high temperature, and this this climate change also affecting this region for last 5-10 years after this drying up Aral Sea. This climate change, when temperature rise, also decreasing or increasing evaporation much more. So every year, for example, last year we estimated the decline of the water around 15 meter every year. So in the estimation now is deep of Aral Sea around 25 meter. So if we estimate every year 15 meter decline, so in 5 years, maybe because of this climate change or less rain, maybe it's already these 3 lakes will disappear. So it is therefore I said it is combined effect.
I think at the beginning it was not a combined effect. At the beginning.
In beginning, no. Yeah, last 5-10 years.
It was a political decision. That's
Yes.
what I'm trying to say. But of course, the climate change is a general problem. It's everywhere in your country and other places. I think why I want to insist, because it was a political decision, which was a wrong decision. To divert the water of the two rivers which feed this sea. That was a disaster.
Yes, you know, in Soviet Union time, for example, each country, for example, Kazakhstan was producing wheat for whole Soviet Union countries, right? And Uzbekistan duty was because of climate should produce cotton up to 6 million ton for whole to export and to whole Soviet Union countries. This decision was because of this decision, the Uzbekistan was forced to produce more cotton. After independence, of course, we from 6 million ton now we have 1.5 million ton. However, for the last 5 years, this climate change didn't allow us to, to improve the land, also improve the water management. And therefore, it's the last, as you say, the last 5 after independence is also last 5 years, this climate problem is combined.
Now, I will ask the same question again. What has been done, or what is being done to rehabilitate the ROC? How are you going to recover the water? What's being done to recover it?
Recently, with China, we have organized ARAUSEA conference in November. So there is so many experts. As scientists, of course, each expert has own opinion. There is so many projects from World Bank and so many, millions of dollars. I don't think that RLC can be recovered, but only in my opinion, we are trying now, Uzbekistan trying now to grow this. It's very important things is to grow halophytes in the RLC basin to hold the sand or salt from moving to other regions. Therefore, we are trying to bring this technology like drip irrigation to grow the halophytes and very salt-tolerant, drought-tolerant plants there. This project's ongoing now with World Bank. The only solution to bring drip irrigation and some technologies and to grow the plants. But to fill the dry, these RLCs or with using or rain, other because of we have less rain and what we have water problems now in Central Asia is so even is many projects I don't feel it's possible. So the only solution is to hold the salts from the region from moving to other region, the decreasing lands. Yeah.
What you're saying, we cannot recover the ROC at all.
As scientists, I don't think so, because every year we are going there. There is 10 years, there is so many projects ongoing, but I didn't see I told you that every year we are estimating 15 or 20 meter decline every year, even so many scientists, many countries working there. So some projects is using rain, or some projects bringing from other place to RLC some water. Some other technologies up to today, it didn't work. So only what I say with my own eyes is only some halophytes is growing there with using drip irrigation, nothing else.
Thank you, Dr. Azhar. We will come back to you, but we want to entertain some questions from the audience. Yeah. Dr. Badran, would you please go ahead?
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Dilfuza.
Thank you.
For a very comprehensive lecture. I think her lecture is so important that we should look ahead to nature, to link nature with agriculture, to link climate change with agriculture, recycling nutrients and organic matter is so important because this is the ecosystem of our planet. That organic material have to be recycled to really feed the nutrients or feed the soil for that. But I agree with Dr. Asfar concerning the RLC. I've headed about 3 or 4 commissions.
Yeah.
I was the head of 4 commissions from UNESCO in the 90s. And about 16 scientists were in my team. The RLC is a man-made disaster, Dr. Dilfuza.
I wrote this in my slides also, man-induced.
Let me finish. It's not, it was a political decision.
Yes, sure.
During the Soviet era.
Yeah.
We study it very completely. And the problem of the RLC, it's a huge dam was made from the 2 rivers.
Yes.
Feeding the RLC. The RLC was producing fish for more than 50,000 fishermen.
Yes.
And it was feeding so many villages around the RLC. The RLC was a beautiful sea. It's not, has nothing to do with the climate change, my dear. It is a political decision purely from the central command, where they don't use the agricultural scientists to advise them.
Yeah.
It was, we want to produce our own cotton instead of importing it from Egypt due to political decision. And then the dam was built and the water was shut off of the RLC. The RLC was shrinking until it became not more than, like you said, about 20% of the whole sea. Even ships, you go now to the RLC, you find ships in the desert.
Yes.
Because the water starts shrinking and the fishermen thought the water is shrinking but will come back, never came back.
Yeah.
So my dear Dilfuza, we made a recommendation. You see, the agriculture use from the dam, they use so much land by flooding water, not using technology of irrigation. And this flooding water used so much fertilizer and so much pesticide that the soil became salty. And then cotton was, the production of cotton reduced. So they moved to another land. And they're starting from land to land around the dam for a huge area, and they turned it to desert, saline desert. And also the shrinking of water from the RLC, the beautiful huge lake, the water starts shrinking, and the salinity coming from the pesticide and the huge fertilizer used in the upper area, in the upper dam, by the dam, started to come in and change the whole area into the worst disaster I have ever seen, Dr. Dilfuza, in my life. Is the RLC disaster. It's a desert, not sand, desert of chemicals, of pesticide, of fertilizer. And the wind comes and blow this desert to villages, and all the children, they are becoming blind. I never seen so many blind children in Kazakhstan like I used to see in my mission by UNESCO to Kazakhstan to find a solution. The solution we made is really not the World Bank, by us made, by the science sector of UNESCO was made, is really to grow halophytes. Halophytes which sustain salinity and salt water and turn the RLC into aquaculture. Aquaculture to put fisheries, to make it a huge fish farming by planting halophyte to absorb the salt and change the area back to become artificial lake, artificial like tanks of and then you change the climate back, and then the people will go back to their fishing, but really in utilizing the land again by halophytes and putting water. The water obviously will be brackish water, but this really was our suggestion. But they have to clean up the pesticide, and they have to clean up the fertilizers before turning it into a fishing farms to the people there. Thank you.
Thank you. We actually every year we are going there for we are studying biodiversity of the water, the toxicity, and the soil, and there's all microbial biodiversity, plant biodiversity. Yes, you are right, but the results of this investigation was decline of biodiversity, but we are also developing some, as I told, that some biofertilizers to improve these halophytes used to grow in ARAUSEA, because itself halophytes, it's difficult to grow there. So we are working with this technology, how to manage with biofertilizers or biochar using this ARAUSEA basin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Samih Abu Bakr, please go ahead and ask your question.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, lecturer. Actually, I want to ask two questions without long comments. The first one, that you predict in your lecture from now until maybe 2050, the declining of arable land, declining of soil quality by salinization, and by heating or global warming and climate change. So, and you mentioned that we have about 70 million hectares of organic land. Out of, I know that we have maybe 1.5 billion hectares of arable land all over the world. So until now, we have about 4% of the land went to organic farming. Now, by 2050, to the best of your prediction or knowledge, do you think that this 4% will be 6-7%, will be increased, or will go down? This is my first question. The second one, please. You mentioned when you talk about the compost and biological fertilizers, that it is full with hormones and pathogens and so. Where this data, where from that the compost is filled with pathogens and hormones? Actually, I know that if we apply a very good or fair process of composting, this will be free of pathogens or hormones. Some elaboration, please, and thank you.
Thank you. You know, about organic agriculture, I have showed latest report from Food Agriculture Organization, the estimation, everything, and I cannot comment about how many percent organic agriculture will increase and by 2050 or this, but only show the estimation in the, but in what we are working in Central Asian countries or Uzbekistan, now we are on first step, for example, to work on organic agriculture, to increase organic agriculture. So therefore, I cannot comment on your this first questions, the estimation or world organic agriculture. About second questions, yes, the manure. I told that manure, if processed well, heating with a well temperature, that can kill all pathogens. It's clear. And some villages, for example, in my experience, we saw that some villages, the manure farmers, very simple farmers in home, they are drying the manure and applying directly sometimes to the field. And sometimes is composting also doesn't go well, for example, not using high temperature. In that point, there is so many reports, and we are also working on the pathogens colonizing the vegetables and how the humans can get infection. I am also reading some literature reports, and also we ourselves, I showed that it was published in Environmental Microbiology, that we found that potential human pathogens, microbes, which belong to risk group 2. So it's they are colonized in the root system, not only wheat. Now we are working with tomato, hydroponics, and also applying some different composting and manure, and we are checking the biodiversity of microbes, how they change after applying manure directly or after applying for composting. And also we are testing the biodiversity of microbes in the compost with using different the heating process, compost process. Therefore, I showed some published the work, how the manure could be one of the source where pathogen can go into the root system, the vegetables or lettuce or some other crops.
Yeah, Dr. Muhammad Al-Qand, please go ahead and make your comment.
Yes, many thanks for your informative presentation. I was expecting to see more details about the organic approach you have developed and implemented. However, from your last 2 slides, I noticed that you have not covered everything related to organic farming. As you know, that organic farming is an integrated approach. So, for example, all of these concerns mentioned by our people here can be resolved through the organic farming regulation, which you have not mentioned. If we talk about compost, all of these things, even, you know, the contamination by nitrogen and others. For example, you know, we cannot add more than 170 kg per hectare per year for the soil. I need to just make one comment about and to focus on the point that Professor Badran, when he mentioned about the land you dealt with. Yes, I want to state that yes, it can be recovered, and there is a big international or global example, polyphase farm in the US, which has been developed by Darren Dorothy, you know him. So the main idea, what I want to say here, we should focus on something called agro-ecosystems, because for each region, for each land, for each micro system, you need to study this very well. I do agree with some of the concerns, but I think we need to rethink about the solutions for such, especially when we talk about arid lands, for example, in Jordan. We have developed a model by Coventry University and Jordan and other countries in Nigeria. We can share it with you about how to develop everything related to restore a land and to adopt organic farming. Thank you very much and appreciate your informative presentation.
Yes, thank you. Yes, of course, I didn't mention all about organic agriculture approaches, but about your experience, my experience. You know, I told that in Central Asia, organic agriculture or this agro-ecosystems, agro-biodiversity is the first step. So we are waiting. As in the end of my slides, also I showed that the policy is very important. If the government will support and government will reconsider some policy, for example, for diversification, or use the crop rotation, or without this policy, farmers cannot move to organic agriculture once. And another point, agroecosystems, yes, we are now developing, and I also mentioned the knowledge. Our farmers or this scientists or this organization, we are still looking for knowledge on to learn agrobiodiversity and bring the agroecosystems. What's this agroecosystems modeling or digital agriculture? It's you have to also understand that is new in the region. So if some countries advanced, you are already using, for example, also I know Saudi Arabia, they are using hydroponics very well, and solar system and digital agriculture, yes. But I also indicated that these all technologies should be also the begin or proceed or the put like a first step what we are doing in developing countries also. The farmers will understand, and we can, the main point here is the knowledge, in my experience, knowledge. Scientists, even the knowledge is important for also government, if they understand what's this agroecosystems, agrobiodiversity, and to put forward after COVID-19. So we decided to care the environment. So we decided to reduce some countries, for as you said, okay, that the maximum we can use nitrogen is, but some countries there is no maximums. So they can use, and farmers can use, for example, very high amount, such as, therefore I told in the end that the communication or science and policy, that is very important, especially in developing country. Thank you very much for comments.
Dr. Lama, please go ahead and deliver your note.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah, and thank you, Dr. Dilfuza, for your fruitful lecture. In your implementation, at the end of your lecture, you said integrated pest management, and I believe we have to think also about integrated crop management. And as a plant pathologist, I think whether we go for organic or not organic, we have to reduce the use of pesticides. We have to concentrate on the epidemiological studies in order to decide whether we have to make a control, as you mentioned control means, but I believe we have to do the epidemiological studies to decide whether we need to manage a certain disease or not. And if we decide to manage, then we have to think about the one or more than one way, and we have to think about cultural practices. We have to monitor all the environmental factors. So in that way, we can reduce the use of chemicals, whether fertilizers and pesticides. Thank you very much for your talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dr. Muhammad Ashraf, please go ahead and have your comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. I would like to offer some of the comments which I feel that they are very intriguing in a way, because the discipline or the topic which is being deliberated here is very important. I myself have been engaged in such type of projects, you see, and if you look at 3 or 4 years back, organic agriculture has been transformed into biohealthy agriculture. And this is a big forum which has been constituted by applying, scientists from different countries, from Germany, Britain, France, and other, Turkey and Middle East countries, you see. This is a big forum whereby we are working together in some sort of consortium, you see, and we are doing some mega projects related to biohealthy agriculture. And biohealthy agriculture related to, just if you look at the definition, I mean, it's very close to organic agriculture, wherein we consider the chain. And what is the chain? We start from soil, plants, animals, human beings, and also the environment. This whole system, which we refer to it, the ecosystem, we have to safeguard, we have to protect, I mean, all components, whether it is a soil, whether it is a plant, or livestock, or human, you see. So for that purpose, we've been doing, I mean, a lot of research. If you look at Google Scholar or, I mean, any other Pablan, you see, you will find a lot of publication, you see, related to organic agriculture and also related to salinity tolerance particularly. And I would appreciate the comment offered by Dr. Askar as well as by Dr. Adnan. They have put their finger on very important issue, ARAUSEA. ARAUSEA, because the message which has been imparted by Dr. Badran, you see, is a very important. We have to grow halophytes by all means, whether using drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation or any other system. Halophytes, you see, we have spent a life with halophytes and glycophytes. We've been growing. And if you recall, I mean, look at the history of different countries. Sea has been converted into land in Holland. Sea has been converted into land in South Korea. And I've been advisor of that program. It's a very mega project, you see, which was initiated by South Korean, whereby they have converted the sea into land. And there, the same analogous problem which you are facing with RLC, the similar type of problem they faced, and they've been growing halophytes only, you see. And now there is a lot of vegetation. They have converted the land into cultivable land now, because first they tried the halophytes and then the agricultural crops. So these are some of the comments. Just to reinforce your talk, your presentation, you are doing a very good work. I would appreciate, you see, because you have published in a very good quality journal, you see, and you've been doing in, I mean, research work in Germany and other countries, you see. This is a very important, I mean, aspects which you are focusing on. And if we can, because your last slide, you see, it showed that we can collaborate, I mean, in a befitting manner. I mean, our institution, University of Agriculture, Faisalabad, is doing a lot of work, you see, because the premier university. And we started organic agriculture cell last year. And wherein we are, I mean, our colleagues and many other young scholars, they are doing a lot of research on organic agriculture. So these were my comments, you see, from my end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Ashraf. You know, as a scientist, if you check in organic agriculture or other agriculture, general agriculture, or some plant, soil, or environmental science, very few publications you will find from Central Asia. Very few.
Yes.
So therefore, I told you why the knowledge. To get knowledge, the whole this region should know the English, should read the publication, should papers, access to literature. So that is the main point, to bring knowledge to students, to farmers, even the what is organic agriculture. If you see, if you say, for example, some experts say, okay, this country is we already this. Yes, I am agree, but we have to consider also the region, how they developed, how science is developed. If you see I also analyzed the Web of Science, whole Central Asian countries in the field agriculture, plant pathology, she said, you cannot find even single the article about the plant disease from Uzbekistan. because the visual, yes, for example, that is the fusarium, the visual, but the molecular biological tools are lacking. So therefore, therefore I told that yes, knowledge is important. We need collaborate. So nature has no border. So we want to learn, this region want to learn from experienced scientists to develop this science, this even organic agriculture or plant and soil fertility and everything. And therefore we need, as you said, international cooperation to bring knowledge in the region.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Dr. Azhar, please go ahead.
You know, I come back to the cotton again, if you don't mind, because cotton needs a lot of water. Are there any plans to change this cotton with something else which needs much less water? That was my question.
What was the question? Excuse me.
The question was, are you trying to replace cotton with something else? Because cotton uses tremendous amounts of water, which you don't have.
Yes, I also mentioned this in the end of my slides. The science and politicians, if they cooperate, the environment get better. So as a scientist, I would say, okay, the 60 years, even this cotton production, Soviet Union begins, I was not born. Yes, I was 79, so I don't know.
I know that.
Yeah, then the main point as scientists, I would say we need the rest. We have to give all lands after 70 years rest. They have to only just put legumes, for example. We need crop rotation. We need diversification. For example, if you go to Central Asia, you will see only cucumber, tomato, and some cabbage or something, not diverse vegetables. We need the region, we need the crop diversification. We need many things, many knowledge. We need to improve crop rotation. We need to give to farmers freedom. They have to choose their own the will, what they want to grow and what they want to sell. There is a clusters. Without government support, farmers cannot produce anything, cannot decide. Even the knowledge, you give knowledge, they know how to do, but without the support, they don't know. They cannot do that. If the government plans, programs is okay, continue 10 years in these lands is cotton production, farmers should continue. So that is therefore it's very important. Knowledge is another things, cooperation is main things. So
the other question, if I may say, about the irrigation system. You know, generally people use what they call the flood system. You let the water go as much as you like. Can't you do? One can do much better system, but use much less water, like the drip system, for example, which is not very easy to use, but it's a very, very important system of irrigation, which uses very much less water. Can you say anything about what is happening in your country?
As I told that you can the field is not so developed like agriculture, crop plant, but irrigation system in Uzbekistan, in Central Asia, this International Institute of Water Management is in Tashkent, I think, and this water management irrigation, the many projects and experts and so many the good knowledgeable people are working there, and water management is well developed in this area. So after independence, of course, and therefore you can also find so many reports and articles published. Institute of Irrigation in Tashkent located, they're using water saving technology a lot. So there is very common now, hydroponics is bring already, hydroponics exists, and also drip irrigation. We are using to grow our halophytes in ARAUSEA basin through the drip irrigation. Some technology exists. Water management or this water saving technologies is going well in Uzbekistan. So I'm not a water management specialist expert, but I know that what kind of project we are using this drip irrigation also.
Can I ask the last question?
Yes,
About
please.
the underground freshwater resources of the country, underground freshwater resources of the country. Do you know anything about that?
The underground, I don't know. I'm sorry. Water management, I don't know. Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, if there are no more questions, I have.
دكتور عبد الله انا رافع ايدي بس يبدو مش شايفني على السيستم انت. دكتور عبد الله اوكي can I.
لا والله مش شايف.
Okay. I raised my hand but I think you are not seeing it on the system. Okay. Dr. Dilfuza, thank you so much for the great.
People are writing in the chat.
Okay, I raised my hand. It's there.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Dilfuza, for this great information. Actually, you know that back in 1995, there used to be not a single hectare of land planted with genetically modified crops. Today, we have more than 200 million hectares planted over the world.
Yeah.
There are good number of crops. It's a great business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business in the world. Companies are growing up. There are a lot of startups, spin-offs, and in that direction. So how would you see these two lines will go together, the vast increase in genetically, or what we call them, biotechnology crops today, and at the same time, the organic agriculture. So how do you see the two things to go together at the same time?
As I know that genetically the modified organisms like crops in many countries are even science is not allowed. For example, I don't think that in Uzbekistan, Central Asia, we have GMO is allowed to consume or to produce. That I don't know. But as a scientist, I'm not. I would, as a scientist, in my own opinion, I would use some more natural resources or biological technologies without the genetic modification. I don't know. It's because of, I don't know. It's only my the opinion. So in one way,
it's a matter of adoption now. There are huge countries they are adopting.
I know.
And at the same time, there are others who are adopting the organic farming. So
I know in Africa also, in some way, it's really important, some way, because of drought tolerant to feed the population in African countries. I agree that this technology should develop and to such countries to feed the population. I know. But however, since many countries still not adopted or not accepted, or regulation doesn't allow to use this GMO in the country. Therefore, my concern also, we don't work in GMO. I cannot go to deep the comments on this aspect.
Okay, is there any more questions?
Hello.
Okay, if there is no more questions, yes, Dr.
Hello.
I have to ask you, is there any studies related to the specialization of mycorrhiza with certain crops? Do you know the species that specialize in certain crops for mycorrhiza? This is the first question. The second, I'm interested in knowing what species can synergize with barley. The other question is at what the condition as regard to precipitation, which really make the synergism optimum between mycorrhiza and the crop. The other comment I would like really to know more about biochar. So if I will be connecting with you to get some more information about this product. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. About mycorrhiza, we are using mycorrhiza for arbuscular mycorrhiza for in our experience, in our in lab works we are using for cotton mainly, and in Germany we used mostly legumes like chickpea and soybean. We of course we also integrated this nutrition like the phosphorus and nitrogen in different concentration, and we found that if we reduce the nitrogen, this symbiotic performance or symbiotic association of this mycorrhiza with cotton or soybean is better. And especially we use this the combination of rhizobia and mycorrhiza and some phosphorus, potassium, the fertilizers together, especially in stress environment. If we use in normal condition, we didn't see effect. So it means under stress conditions, this combination give much more benefits. In other this experience, latest our work, this biochar is, I like also to work biochar because all developing countries especially has bio-waste, even from home or from other, and this manure or this from biogas. We are using from wood and from leaves after an autumn we are collected, we are burning, and also we are using from biogas, maize from waste, in also manure. And we found that when you are producing biochar, it's the source are very important because it maintain pH. So if biochar pH high, we don't apply to the salt affected lands. If biochar is less, pH 5, so it's very good to apply and to mitigate or to balance in pH in soil. So another good things we found that biochar is very good to combine with microbial inoculants. If we combine mycorrhiza, it grow and colonize in the pores and consume these nutrients, like biochar also like nutrients for microbes in stress environment. Also we got very good results when mycorrhiza, rhizobia, and other PGPR is combined with biochar and applied. So the biochar maintain them, and then they allow the longer survival in the soil, especially if the dry and very stressed soil. If you apply mycorrhiza spores or any rhizobia or other microbes in stress environment, is hot temperature or dry or salt affected, they cannot survive. So benefit is less. Therefore, we are focused on the combination of biochar with any means of microbial inoculants.
Yeah, thank you. It seems that Dr. Said Fathi has something to do to make some comment about specialization between mycorrhiza and crops. Dr. Said, please.
Yeah. May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
You see, I think when we talk about mycorrhiza, like Dr. Dilfuza has mentioned, probably in the arid and semi-arid zones will be difficult to apply.
Yeah.
Because of the dry conditions.
Yeah.
But really, where we have irrigated agriculture, there is rotation there. And really introducing leguminacea within the rotation, I think this will supplement enriching the soil, particularly with nitrogens and others. And this will contribute to organic production, organic food, particularly in our area here. For example, the Jordan Valley, it is a unique place to apply this rotation. And this way you get rid of the use of chemicals. particularly fertilizers. The biological control, which is used right now on, let's see, the Mediterranean fruit fly, Mediterranean flies and others, this biological control is working, and they don't use any more pesticides. Even now they are using some plantations to really eliminate weeds, herbicide, not to use herbicide. So I believe, Dr. Dilfuza, probably we should look at the food chain, and try to put priority to organic food. You see, when you go to the supermarket in Europe now, you find bench of food which is higher price. It's called organic food. Mm-hmm. Even in Jordan, there is a bench in the market, in the supermarket. In the supermarket, you go and see organic food. People started to realize for their health that they have to seek and to look for organic food. If we want to introduce and produce organic food, less chemical, less fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, and less the use of hormones and all this, I think really we have to look at the food chain and try to look at the market to give incentive for farming fresh produce using organic material.
It was comment. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Is there any more comments or questions? If there is no more questions, then I will end this session. And thank you very much for attending. And we'll be in contact with you, Dr. Dilfuza. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much for you all, and stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
And Happy New Year.
All the best.
All the best. Stay safe.
All the best.
All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.